The fourth chapter of the book of James is one of the most insightful sections of the New Testament. James addresses the issue of conflict and quarrels within the early church. He reminds us that true wisdom comes from God and encourages Christians to submit to the Lord in all things. He also warns against pride and encourages humility as the key to a peaceful and joyful life. James challenges us to examine our hearts and to live out our faith in practical ways that honor God and bless others. First, James addresses the issue of conflict and division within the church. James begins by asking, "What causes fights and quarrels among you?" and then answers his question by stating that it is their own selfish desires and passions that are at the root of these conflicts. He then reminds us that we cannot simply ask God for what we want and expect to receive it if our motives are impure. James states that the Lord only gives to those who ask with a pure heart and who seek to use what they receive for the Lord's glory. He also warns against friendship with the world, stating that those who are friends with the world are enemies of God. Next, James encourages everyone to submit to God. Resist the devil and he will flee. This passage emphasizes that it is important to be intentional and deliberate in resisting the devil and not to give in to his temptations. He tells us to cleanse our hands and purify our hearts, indicating the importance of both outward and inward purity. He also encourages Christians to be sorrowful for their sins and to humble ourselves before God. Very briefly, James warns against speaking evil of one another and judging others. There is only one lawgiver and judge, and his name is the Lord. Finally, James speaks on our tendency to make plans without considering the will of the Lord. He warns against presumptuous planning and encourages all believers to humbly submit to the sovereignty of God. Whether we make plans to travel, start a business, or engage in other activities, James argues that such presumptuous planning is arrogant and foolish, but instead, he urges us to submit to the Lord's will and live with humble dependence on Him. In summary, this chapter discusses the causes of conflicts and quarrels among Christians. James argues that these fights can stem from our own selfish desires and passions. He warns that such behavior is not only destructive to our relationships with others, but also to our relationship with God. James urges us to submit ourselves to God and resist the devil's temptations. He also encourages us to draw near to God, to cleanse our hearts of sin, and to humble ourselves before Him. He concludes the chapter by reminding us that our lives are like a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes, so we should live each day as if it were our last while seeking to do God's will, and to honor Him completely. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below. I will do my best to respond to all messages. Have a great day.